This video is brought to you by HalloCasa. Our tool transforms independent local real estate agents to global real estate agents. Create your own profile for free and get contacted by international investors. Sign up with the link in the description. Hello and welcome everyone to our 235th session of HalloCasa. My name is Michael and today I'm talking to Franciska Acs from Dubai in the UAE. Franciska is an off-plan investment consultant at Haus Haus Real Estate, a TEDx speaker, AI enthusiast, and author of The Unexpected Teachers of Happiness. With a background in marketing tech, she helps international investors build long-term wealth through Dubai's most strategic off-plan opportunities. Franciska, it's always amazing to talk with people from Dubai and in Dubai. We now talked for like almost 90 minutes before this recording just about Dubai. Why don't you introduce yourself to audience?
Perfect. Thanks, Michael, so much for having me here. It's really a pleasure. First, I want to say I really love your podcast because you bring people from everywhere around the world talking about real estate. And that's why I thought Dubai is so interesting for so many people around the globe, especially in Europe and America. So that's why I thought we can have a little chat and I tell you a little bit more about Dubai today.
Absolutely. First question, why did you end up in Dubai? What made you move there?
Yeah, it's actually funny. I never planned to move to Dubai. And I think a lot of people have the same story. They come here for vacation. And then, oh my God, I love this. It's a really nice place to be. And I came multiple times. My sister actually lives here. That was the reason why I would come all the time. I think like twice a year. And then I was like, okay, why do I not move here? I have family here and there's so many opportunities here. So I made the move. It was a big decision. I used to live in Ireland before, which was the complete contrast. Ireland, it's raining all the time and people are very simplistic. It's like you go to the pub and it's very casual. And then I'm coming here and it's like full of opportunity, full of bling and perfect people. It was a big change for me, but now I can say I cannot even imagine living anywhere else. And I think a lot of other people say that as well, because the quality of life is really unmatched here. And once you move to Dubai, you cannot leave anymore.
Let's go a bit deeper there. Where are you yourself located in Dubai? Are you living in the outskirts? Are you living in the center? How can I imagine life in Dubai in 2025, 2026? Is it only bling? Can you also escape the bubble? How can we imagine the life there?
So what I love about Dubai is that it has literally everything. And it's not just what as a tourist, because as a tourist, you only see the bling, Burj Khalifa, the massive malls. But when you live here, you actually have the opportunity of big city life, but also the calm of the sea and relaxing vacation. So basically, I can hustle all week from morning to evening. And then on the weekends, I have a little trip to a vacation place, which is 20 minutes from my place. And it's like I'm living a vacation. I live in downtown because I love this crazy busy lifestyle. I came here for opportunities. I came here for being busy. So I wake up to Burj Khalifa every morning. I keep my curtains open and this is the view I have. I live in Business Bay, which is basically like 4 minutes from downtown. So I can see the whole skyline. For me, I think if you would have asked me 7 years ago, this would have been, I wish I would wake up to like big city views. And I'm here now, so I'm super grateful for that. And then on the weekends, I'm going to the beach right now. Like after this, I will go running at the beach as well, which for me is like the balance. So Dubai is not just this perfect bling city. It's calm. It's very authentic. You have places a little bit outside of the city where people are very down to earth, which you wouldn't necessarily see in DIFC, where everyone is hustling and working like day and night. So you can make Dubai whatever you want it to be. It's really up to everyone themselves.
Absolutely. I remember when I used to live there, it was like easy to go to Musandam, I think it was called, or towards Ras Al Khaimah. And
Yeah.
going out of this bubble, you can just go to random place and you don't feel like you're in Dubai, you're maybe in India or in different places in Asia.
Yes.
Look, you just mentioned the hustle culture. How can we imagine it? Is it so prevalent that people really want to make a change in the world and really want to hustle so much? Is it very prevalent, the entire hustle culture during the week?
I do think that the people that are coming to Dubai are the people with vision. It's the people that follow the opportunity. It's 95% expats here, which means that people from everywhere in the world are coming to Dubai for a better life, for opportunity. And this is what I love the most about Dubai, because you meet so many inspiring people, you meet so many entrepreneurs. There's so many benefits for people to come here and open their business, live here. And you feel that when you go through the streets, because people are so much more ambitious. I come from Germany, and if you would go to a small town in Germany, people are happy with like a simple life, like having a 9 to 5 jobs, and then on the weekend reading the newspaper. You don't really find these people here, because it is a big step to leave your own country and come here, and everyone did that step here. So that means that the people that are here are, I believe, so much more ambitious and driven, and they want to make a change for themselves, for their family. And I think that's really what makes Dubai so unique in terms of the people that are here.
You live directly in the center of Dubai. You have this amazing balance between the hustle and then also, on the other hand, the potential to just relax a little bit on the beach or somewhere outside of the bus. Now, for anyone listening to that, it's like, how can I be part of that? How can I have that myself? What for steps do I have to undertake in order to maybe even get a visa, get a work visa, be able to become resident? What was the step for you, and how difficult is it to actually move to Dubai if you categorize yourself into this segment of saying, yes, I actually want to push forward. I want not to be a mediocre person, and I want to just fulfill my vision.
Yeah, everyone is here with a working visa. So you need to have a job in that sense. There's other ways as well. If you buy property here, you can get a golden visa, for instance. If you buy something for 2 million or over, you have a 10-year golden visa. But usually people come here first with a work visa. I just looked at LinkedIn, and you can check out different job opportunities here. You come here, you find a job. It is doable. It's, of course, a big step. And you come here, first, most people, before they have their Emirates ID, they maybe stay in an Airbnb or in a hotel for a couple of weeks. And then, of course, everyone needs to find a place to stay. Most people start with renting something out, or you can buy a property, which here it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, it's doable. It's every big city. If you find a job and you're ambitious, you will get into a role, and then they will provide a working visa. Yeah, and then you have everything here and you can live your Dubai life. I believe life is for us to create. So it's really up to everyone what you make out of it. And you have to find your place, but you actually have to make it your place as well. And if you come here with the attitude, oh, it's so superficial and I cannot find real people, this is not the case. But you need to put the effort in of going to these places, meeting new people, finding the job that you love. And I can honestly say there's no place like Dubai with so much diversity of people, of nationalities, and also opportunities. Like, you have all kinds of jobs here, jobs that like in Europe we don't even have because there's no such demand. But here, because you have people from all kind of classes, nationalities, cultures, you have a mix of everything, and that opens a lot more doors for a lot of people.
Let's talk real estate. Why should I invest in real estate? You just mentioned a couple of elements, obviously, especially like in comparison to Europe. We are both from Germany, but maybe help us dissect it a little bit. What are benefits for me, apart from any investment vehicle and property right now, overall, from the politics and the regulation and maybe the tax scheme overall? Why is Dubai and maybe also the UAE in general a good investment destination?
Sure. So let's start with the obvious, and you already mentioned it as well. We have no income tax, no capital gains tax, and no property tax. And I think that's something that, especially in Europe, where the governments are pushing and adding more and more taxes, that's like the main reason why a lot of people are actually coming here, because they just get more for their money. Then also the currency, like the dirham, is pegged to the dollars, which gives investors stability. And that is actually also very important in today's market. These are the things that are very number, and like everyone knows these, but there's a lot of other things as well. So if you're looking at rental yield, for instance. In Germany, you have, or in Europe in general, 2 to 3%, and that's actually good. But if you're looking at Dubai property rental yields, we're looking at 6.9%. And this is an average and a conservative average. So there's also other areas that have even higher rental yields. It's also, people think Dubai is one market, but you can't look at Dubai as one market. It's a lot of micro markets. And that's how you have to look at the rental yields as well. And we can talk about the micro markets a bit later, but I'm just saying, like, there is parts of the city in Dubai where you see really strong rental yields, even higher than average. And then we can also look at places where there will in the future really high rental yields. So these are the things that, okay, it just makes sense because the money you put in, you get a lot more outcome. And then also, we talked about this actually now, it's quality of life. People are not just investing in Dubai, they're coming here for the quality of life. And with everything that's going on in the world, I think security and safety and a government that is neutral is making a big difference when it comes to investments. Like, I really have to say, like, the world is going crazy at the moment in so many places. And Dubai is like stable and then politically neutral. And for me, I never had any issues. It doesn't matter where you are in Dubai, it's safe. People don't lock their doors. They even put the key is in the car. They leave the car. My sister lost her wallet and we didn't know where she lost it. And we literally found, so we went to Dubai Mall and the security checked and they knew exactly which taxi we entered. They gave us the number and after 2 weeks, she got her wallet back. Tell me one country in Europe or in America that can give you this sense of security. It's not possible. And another aspect as well, and I think these are already very convincing, is that in Dubai, we have still a lot of potential for growth. We have a lot of areas that are still developing. Dubai has become similar to the big cities, New York, London, Berlin. Like, people are comparing it directly to them. But here we still have the price per square foot is still so much lower here in Dubai than in these other bigger cities. But the rental costs, like for the tenants, is actually like in the top 10 already of these, which for investors is a sweet spot. It's amazing because you can buy property for a really affordable price and then you rent it out at a really strong competitive price. For you, the ROI is really high in that sense. So I think these are the main reason why Dubai is really attractive to investors right now.
Let's go into the neighborhoods. You mentioned the micro markets within Dubai. Can we get an idea there? Is it north towards south? Is it laterally, the segmentation, or is it totally spread and you have some islands regarding luxury and non-luxury? Try to maybe give us an idea in your words so that we have an idea or we have an opportunity to understand that.
Okay, I try to keep it short because I can talk about this for 3 hours because it's a very big topic. What's interesting is that if people come here, they go to 2 places. They go to the Palm and Marina for the beachside and they go downtown Burj Khalifa. Maybe they go to Dubai Frame, but these are the kind of places where you would go as a tourist. I did that too. And I'm sure you did that too the first time you went here, like you went to these places. But there's so much more. And there is a lot of micro markets here that are developing in different time zones in a way. And we have the Urban Master Plan 2040. It's the government is actually like structuring everything that's going to happen in the future. And this Urban Master Plan is basically categorizing it, Dubai in 5 different urban areas. And right now we're in the areas of downtown and Marina. These are the sweet spots, but there's new areas evolving. And the idea is to optimize these 5 districts. So you basically don't need to leave that district because you have everything you need there. You have recreational stuff, parks, and for tourists as well, places to go. Then you have job opportunities there, a well-established infrastructure. So if you're looking, let's look at investment areas that are very interesting at the moment. So for instance, the south is super interesting because we're building the largest international airport in the world, Al Maktoum International Airport, which will change this whole area. If you go to the south now, it's not like the place to be, let's say. But by 2035, the international airport will be fully operational. It already exists and there's already people flying there, but it will be fully operational by 2035. Also in the south, all business is moving. We have the trade center where we have the exhibitions and everything, but it wouldn't be logical if the airport is here and everyone needs to go over all the way to downtown. So Expo City, which most of us know because Expo 2020, many people visited Dubai actually because of that. It's going to transform in the new business hub. There's massive like exhibition halls, there's concert. It's going to be a full like reinvention of the Expo 2020. You have the infrastructure already in place, and by 2029 we're going to have the blue metro line that is also leading to Expo, which is, it's going to change everything. It's going to create thousands of jobs, and that's why it's interesting for investors, because these people will need a place to live. And on top of that, we even have Palm Jebel Ali, because you talked about waterfront. That is also in the south. And everyone knows Palm Jumeirah, and this is also a place to go when you're visiting Dubai. Palm Jebel Ali is twice the size, and the mistake that they did with Palm Jumeirah, they actually optimized them for Palm Jebel Ali. So it is bigger and the infrastructure is improved. For instance, there's going to be 3 entries on the Palm, which in Palm Jumeirah you only have 1. So they really learned from, let's say, their mistakes, and they're improving it. And it is bigger. So this whole south will change so much, but it takes time. It's like, this is like a long-term vision. It's in 10 years, this is gonna be the place to be. If you want something that like right now it's still changing, but it is really close to where life is happening, we can also look at areas like Jumeirah Garden City. This is also probably when you went to Dubai, you did not go to that place. It used to be leasehold, which means it's not open for international investors to purchase. However, now it is transferred to freehold. And freehold means that investors have 100% ownership of the property. And it is right next to the IFC. It's literally across the road. So you are super close to downtown. This area is transforming now, and more developers are joining this area. It's not big skyscrapers. It's usually like a mid-dense like community. So you still have like the proximity to downtown, but not the super busy high skyscrapers. So it's still like a kind of community vibe. These are the 2 areas that for me are very interesting in terms of investments, because they have a lot happening for different reasons. So the other one is pushed by a lot of jobs that are created in the south. And Jumeirah Garden City, the location is unbeatable, and now it is open for investors to invest in, but it is still undervalued. So these are 2 areas. I could talk about a lot of other areas, but let's maybe jump into another question. But yeah, there is a lot of potential.
Thank you so much for those 2 elements. And I'm just looking at Jumeirah Garden. Is it like a couple of blocks there? And is it the one at the Fairmont and directly at the Courtyard Marriott? And it's like a reconstruction of the area? Or am I right now looking at something different?
We can call it transformation. So basically, it used to be leasehold. Leasehold means that you can buy something, but it's only yours for 99 years. GCC nationals would be able to buy the land, and then they can sell it for international investors, but just as a 99 leasehold. Right now, it transformed it, and it is now accessible for every international investor. Right now, it didn't reach its potential yet, because this is still quite recent. So now the buildings are coming there. Now the international buyers are more interested in that area. And that's actually a very good idea. Like, it really shows how Dubai is working. Dubai is working to make this the best place for investors. So the government saw the potential of this area and then changed it from leasehold to freehold. And that's why it makes it more and more attractive for people to jump in, and it actually gives it accessibility. So it is really close to all these big hub spots like DIFC. You can literally say it's across the street. Right now, it is like the blocks there's not so much going on yet. You still have a mosque, you have schools there, you have cafes and restaurants. But in 5-6 years, this is going to be a completely new, proper city that you can compare it to Business Bay even a little bit, because it is close to downtown, but with a lot of new buildings and restaurants and things where young people want to live there.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm just looking at Google Street View. It looks like super underutilized, especially for this location. It looks like a suburban area in the middle of nowhere. But to be honest,
And it's so close.
Absolutely.
Yes. And that's the opportunities you have in Dubai. And I love when, especially from Germany, people are coming to me like, oh, I need an apartment in downtown or in Marina. And then I'm asking, okay, why? Yeah, because the rental yields are the highest there. But if you really want to make the most of your money, you need to look in the areas where people don't see the potential yet. But in a couple of years, there is so much happening because your ROI is calculated by your entry cost, right? And in downtown, you obviously pay much more for a property than, let's say, in Jumeirah Garden City. But this is actually where the opportunity lies, because you can purchase something off plan, which then is going to be ready. And by the time it's ready, the area is already transforming. You rent it out for a couple of years, and the rental yield you get there is much higher than in downtown because your price for the property was much lower. So that's actually what I do as well. And this is why I love my job, because it's puzzling things together. You have to see where things are happening but haven't really happened yet, and then see the potential. And then you can consult your clients accordingly. Look, this is what the government is planning there. This is what's happening. This is the reason why this is a good investment. And I believe there is a good investment choice for literally everyone, because we have so many different projects with so many different areas. It's like putting a puzzle together.
Absolutely. And it is also the element of cognitive bias sometimes, and taking the emotional aspect into consideration, because we are sometimes acting out of fear and say, yeah, we don't know yet. But in the end, it's the opportunity to buy a good lot or area in Manhattan, but it's maybe 1800. So you actually have this opportunity right now, but we are so fast on blaming our grandparents of not having done it, while actually the opportunity is right now in front of us. Do you agree with me, or do you think it's maybe different?
I do agree. And I do believe that if you don't know a lot about Dubai, I know the news in Dubai, like in what they write in Germany, it can be quite scary because we don't really know what to believe. And we are I'm also traditional, like I'm printing out everything. I look at everything before I make the choice. And I think it's completely valid. And that's why I always try to explain Dubai, like how it is today, what the government is actually planning in 5 to 10 years. And then these kind of things make sense. Because if you don't feel comfortable, then you maybe shouldn't do that investment. It is my job to actually make you feel comfortable and see the possibilities. And that's why I think also that's the problem with a lot of agents in Dubai. They're trying to sell you a property before you understand the market. And this market is so different to any other market, which is why it is so interesting for investors. But if you don't have the know-how and the knowledge, like how can you make a good decision? And how can you just trust a random person? So it is really important to understand why something works and what backs this up. Because if the government is planning something, if it's a good developer, it will make you feel comfortable. But if it's something random and you don't even know the developer, you have to be careful, because Dubai is amazing for investors, but you can make a lot of bad investments as well. So it is not everything bling, and you can make a mistake here. So it's valid what you said. People are afraid to make this big step. It is a big step. So the key is to actually understand the market yourself, and then you understand, okay, which project actually works for you.
Absolutely. The combination of you doing the research, you doing the footwork, making sure that, as you said, like puzzling the pieces together and being confident yourself and also convinced that this makes sense, makes you, I assume, also a natural salesperson, because once you're convinced of something, it's so easy to talk about it passionately. Let's talk about the numbers. You mentioned it a little bit before. You mentioned before rent is quite high. Square meter price on sales is actually quite okay. Can you give us like some examples on starting with square meter prices in some of those areas which you are happy to freely pick so that we get an idea regarding purchases and also investments?
Yeah, so to summarize everything as well, so if we're looking at Dubai in 2014, it was 170,000 transaction, which is worth like 427 billion dirham. So this is the market. This was last year, and it is not stopping to grow. And these areas are also like, it's really hard to say, okay, this one, because even in projects, the units have different price per square foot, and the areas are very different from each other. If you're looking at price per square foot in downtown, it's obviously much higher than if you're looking at this in the south. But the potential that you have in the south, for instance, is much larger because it is an undervalued area. So it really depends if you want to look at the numbers, it's not that straightforward because a lower price per square foot doesn't necessarily mean that this is good. So if you're looking at waterfront, which is usually a little bit higher. And then you can compare it to the other project in that area and see, okay, was the previous launch the same price per square foot? But it really depends on the developer as well. And that's why I'm always struggling with that because in Emaar, it makes sense to pay a little bit more per square foot than and I don't want to say anything bad about another developer, but it's not always that straightforward that, if the price per square foot is lower, it's much better. You need to take a lot in consideration, not just the timeline, so the areas, they really differ, but also, okay, who is the developer? And does it make sense to maybe pay more? If you want to compare the same developer to the same, that's actually fine. But even within a project, there's different price per square foot. So
Absolutely.
basically, yeah, it's a little bit hard and it's not black and white, everything. And so I think you need to really understand, okay, what is someone's timeline? What kind of developer is within budget? Because that's already always matters as well, right? And then we can look, okay, can we compare the price per square foot on Dubai Islands with Mina Rashid, for instance? But that's also tricky because it's different concepts. So if I compare waterfront close to downtown to Marina, I also think it's hard because Marina is already an established community. So obviously the prices are higher there. And then if you think, I'm going to go with the cheaper one, but that's a different timeline.
It makes total sense. And it goes down to the thesis, which many of my guests say, the investment vehicle should make sense in itself, like taking the unit of investment in a singularity, calculate the ROI, and if it makes sense, if it falls into your personal investment thesis, then go for it. And also put into parentheses and maybe outside of the context a little bit macroeconomic data and fluctuations and whatsoever. It should make sense in its singularity, and that's fine. Also, outside of talking now regarding investment vehicles and ROI, just to get an idea, if I'm looking for an apartment, one bedroom, and I don't know how you measure it, maybe by square foot or square meters, in the center somewhere in Dubai, what do I have to expect? Just rental price. What is basically a price range?
Rental price or purchase price if you buy a property?
Rental price.
Yeah, so there obviously with the micro markets, we have a lot of different options. If you go to JVC is an area where a lot of people that move here to Dubai, they go there, you have a car. The location is not so far from Marina, but you can also go to business bay, so it's fine. So from rent, depending on the developer, let's say 60,000, 70,000, you can also have much higher ones. Like you can go 100,000 per year. If we're looking at downtown, it's obviously getting more expensive. We're talking more about like 95, 100,000 a year. Dirham.
So 100, you say, I just typed in 60,000 dirham to USD, that's 16,000 USD on a annual basis, I assume.
Yeah.
Rental. Okay.
Let's say in JVC.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, the beauty of Dubai is like you can find something everywhere. And the further you go away from the city, the more affordable it gets. Here, what actually surprised me a lot is like you pay usually 1 year in advance, which is actually a shock if you come here and move here to Dubai. It's usually one check and you pay your rent 1 year in advance. That's how it works here. Because in Europe, what we do, we pay on a monthly basis, right? That's when it's getting, a little bit tricky for some. You have options, like it also, some people do it month by month, but then the total is a little bit higher. But that's why we're looking at not monthly payments, but like for a year. And the more checks you do it, usually the higher the price. It's very interesting. And it shows again, it's actually making the life of investors easier because they just get one check. So everything in Dubai is actually in favor of investors. Because obviously, if you want to rent it out, you get a check 1 year, you don't have to bother for a year. This is the rules here. Yeah.
And then on the other hand, if I actually have to get rid of my money anyway, so why don't I just go for a down payment and then I'm actually owning an apartment? Okay.
Yeah, and that's the sweet spot here. Yeah, it makes more sense to actually pay for your own. And we have a lot of options in terms of payment plans if you go with off plan. And more like people can also get mortgage here. So it makes more sense to pay off your own if you already do the monthly installments.
Absolutely. Tell us about the company you're working for right now, Haus Haus.
Yeah, so I work for Haus Haus. It's a UK company based in Dubai. We have 13 years of experience. And the idea of what we want to offer is like a full service for everything real estate. And I think that's really what makes a difference. So we're not just selling you property, but we also help you manage it and make it the best investment, which means if you buy it off plan, once it's over, we can help you with the snagging, which means we're checking out that everything is aligned with how it is set in the SPA and see that everything works in your favor, basically, that you get the property you paid for. And then we can also help with renting out, finding someone to rent the property out for you or to do Airbnb for you, for instance. And we can also help you with property management, your interior design, so basically everything real estate in this one company. What I think is also really important, and this is especially for my German investors, is that we have people on the team that speak multiple languages and are from multiple nationalities. And I think it's so important because an investment is a big decision and you don't want to deal with someone that doesn't understand your standards or the processes that you like to work with. For me, I know that my German investors, they're like to work with me because I don't just speak their language, but I understand what quality means in Germany and what the processes are in Germany. And in Egypt, maybe it's normal to come 10 minutes late to a meeting. In Germany, I know, okay, you'll be there 5 minutes before. And this is the kind of service that is actually making a difference and giving people the confidence to buy. And that's why I think Haus Haus doesn't just offer everything real estate, but they also offer you the best service that works with your identity and your nationality. So
this makes total sense, and I assume it's also you understanding the cultural aspects for Germans, because off-plan is not a real thing in Germany. Everything is constructed, and you basically buy second homes already constructed. So I assume you have to do a lot of education towards the German buyers. What are we actually buying into? And saying, wait, I'm buying something which doesn't exist yet. It's just like off plan. How does that come across and how difficult is that to educate the German buyers there?
yeah, I actually love that. This is like probably the biggest challenge I have in my job because it is very abstract and I understand it. And I believe in off plan so much that sometimes for me, it's hard to talk to someone and they don't realize like the potential right away. But that's what I love about my job because there's so much potential in off plan. And that's what makes Dubai so unique in that sense as well. So off plan basically works in a way that you're purchasing a property that is not there yet. So basically if like you go to the plot, there's nothing. And that's why it is a bit scary for some. but that means you get the property for a much lower price than if you buy a ready property. The other benefit is we have amazing payment plans, and you don't have to pay everything upfront. So you basically have a down payment, which is usually 20%. Then we have 4% DLD payment, which is for every transaction in Dubai, you have to pay that. So it's a 24% down payment. And then the other payments, they're usually like an off plan takes 3 years and you're paying different installments throughout these years. And then at handover, you're paying the rest, let's say 50%, 40%. The beauty is that by the time the property handed over, it has already appreciated most of the time. The people come to me and I say, why would I invest in a property and not get ROI, so rental income, for 3 years? And I totally get that. But they don't realize that the capital appreciation you get throughout the process of waiting that your property is run is much higher. So let's say you have a 6% rental yield, and then in 3 years it's 18%. Which is pretty good, right? But if you're looking at, okay, how much can your property actually increase in value? And if you buy it at the launch, the value can be 30 up to 50%, sometimes even more depending on where, but 30 to 50% is realistic. So the capital appreciation is much higher than your rental yield can be. And then afterwards, your rental yield is also much higher because it is calculated with how much you put in there, and you have a lower entry cost for off-plan projects. So then it's a win-win in all cases, especially if you're going into undervalued areas where, for instance, in the south, as I mentioned before, there's not a lot of properties. So properties there are still quite affordable because it is not downtown. Or Jumeirah Garden City is also different prices than in Business Bay, because it still needs time to develop. But the beauty with off-plan is like you have the time because like your property is not done yet. So yeah, this is the playground you have with off-plan investments. If you want to make most of your money, then off-plan is the best way to go. But of course, for end users, it's not always the best option because they want to move to Dubai directly. Off-plan is rather for investors or for people that have time and they want something really nice, that like waterfront, that they cannot afford. Let's say you want to live in Marina, you can't afford to buy something there. You have time though, and then you're gonna go and say, okay, I'm gonna invest in an off-plan property with a nice payment plan. And then in 3 years, I'm moving in and I have something very valuable. And sometimes it's worth to wait.
You mentioned the yearly installments, which I have to pay after the 20% down. How much was it?
That really depends. So basically, every developer is different. So we have payment plans like 50-50, which means 50% during construction, 50 at handover. We have 80-20, for instance, Emaar, which is one of the biggest developers in Dubai. They do 80-20, so you have to pay 80% during construction and only 20% at handover. We also have 20-80, which means 20% during construction and then 80% at handover. So basically the beauty about Dubai, and that's why I said there is a perfect project for everyone, but there is not a perfect project in general, because everyone has a different timeline, everyone has a different preference, and everyone has a different budget. So there is one project that's perfect for every investor. We just have to find it. So I cannot tell you, okay, this is always the installment happens this month and this. There is so much variety in the market, which is actually amazing, because that's why this market is so diverse and we can find something for everyone.
And the common denominator is that I have to have it paid off by the end of the construction, meaning I should actually have in mind during the 3 years or 4 years of construction, I have to get the money of this entire property from any source, either my own funds or mortgage or whatsoever.
So that's a really good question. Actually, you cannot mortgage something that is not existing yet. So the mortgage only works once the property is ready at handover, which means, let's say we have a 50-50 payment plan, you should have the 50% that you have to pay during construction. with like it's 20% down payment and then the next 30% throughout the 3 years. And then at handover, you have the possibility to get a mortgage, and then you can mortgage that amount, the 50%, or you can resell it. The beauty about off-plan is the property gets like a lot more interesting for more people once it's ready, because end users, they want to buy the property when it's ready, and it's also opening up for mortgage buyers. So you have a bigger pool at handover, so you can resell as well, because you already benefited from the capital appreciation. And then it's up to you. Okay, do you want to rent it out, or you want to sell it and you're happy and maybe reinvest? I think what's also very unique to Haus Haus is that we're also talking about exit strategy, because it's not just about, okay, you're buying something and at handover, okay, what are you going to do with it? It's important to talk about this before, because if you want to do long-term rent, if you want to do Airbnb, or if you want to flip, it's different strategies you got to do. It's different locations, it's different projects you got to look at. So most people are just trying to sell you something, but it really matters, okay, what do you want to do with your property? Is it just a long-term investment that you want to, like in 10 years, you want to see results? Then go to Palm Jebel Ali. You want to do something like with Airbnb in the next 2 years, then go to Jumeirah Garden City. So you really need to know as an investor, okay, what do you want to get from that investment? What is your timeline? And then we can find the perfect project. Same with, okay, do you need to mortgage 80%? Then we need to find you a payment plan that is 20/80. You have a lot of like cash and you are actually fine with doing like an 80/20 payment plan. Great, then let's look at another project.
One clarifying question, the 20% is being paid during the 3 years of construction, or is it down first installment and then I have to go and feed the rest? Just to make sure, because I'm thinking about like flipping. So if I could go and say, okay, let's do the 80/20. I am not even intending to go and pay it off. I just run the wave or surf the wave of the appreciation. And then once constructed, I assume whatever, 20, 30, 40% of appreciation. I push it to the market and I can actually reverse the cycle over and over again. I'm just wondering how much cash I would need to do to have in order to do this game.
Okay, so because there's so many options, I'm going to look at one specific one. Let's say we have an Imar property. Imar is always 80/20 payment plan. And we have always a 20% down payment with the 4% DLD. So then you have installment, let's say twice a year for the next 3 years. You are only available to do the resale after 50% of construction. There is a rule, like you can get management approval after 30%, but it is not sure. So let's say 50% with Imar, the property is ready 50%, you can resell it. It is usually more strategic to resell it closer to handover, because it is just more interesting for more people, because during construction, it's mainly investors that want to ride on the capital appreciation curve. But if you're looking at you selling at handover, it is really open, like for end users and people that need mortgage. So yeah, you can do that. It's important though, in 2010, everyone was doing flipping and the market was really the best for that. Dubai market has matured since then, and investing in Dubai properties should be a long-term investment. The best exit strategy is you're investing in a property and you're planning to rent it out for 5-6 years, and then you have rental income, and then slowly the property is increasing in value, and then you sell it, because then you had rental income and you have capital appreciation. I know Dubai was really known for flipping, and it still works in some cases, but it is much safer for you as an investor as well if you're looking at it from a long-term perspective, because you never know what's happening. COVID is the best example. Nobody was prepared for that. And real estate also goes in cycles, and it's natural. So if you have a long-term vision for your property and you want to make the most of your money, your way is get it in off plan for the lowest price, then rent it out, do Airbnb for 5-6 years, then resell it when your property is still considered new. and then you made the most of your money and you can reinvest.
What are the restrictions on Airbnb at the moment, or is there anything going on regarding short-term rentals in Dubai? Can I rent out freely? What's the status there?
So if you're a building in the SPA, it says it's a residential building, you can rent it out as Airbnb. However, sometimes if it's like a branded hotel residence, you're not allowed to do Airbnb, but usually with a normal residential, it's no problem. Ideally, like you can make a lot of money with Airbnb. The ROI is usually 10 to 20% higher than the normal one at 80% occupancy. So that is always important as well. If you do Airbnb, it's not smart to take something that is really away from downtown. You need to have something located in an area that is attractive to downtown. What's really interesting at the moment is we have waterfront projects that are like 15 minutes from downtown, 15 to 20 minutes. It's areas called Maritime City, Mina Rashid, and Dubai Islands. And those have really high potential for Airbnb, for instance, because they are really like close to the water. You have this waterfront living aspect, but you're still super close to downtown. And that's, if we're thinking about it, that's what you want as a tourist. So this is, if you know you want to do Airbnb, then this is the area you would go. It's not only downtown, things are changing. Also Dubai South, just because we talked about it earlier. Right now, it's not good for Airbnb. For sure not, because there's not much going on. In 10 years, oh, definitely, because so many people are coming there for exhibitions, like a business will be conducted there. So then it will open it up as an option of Airbnb. So that's what's the exit strategy about, and what you need to be aware of as an investor. What do you want to do with that investment? Because then we're looking at different areas and different projects.
Give us the more detailed information about the value proposition of Haus Haus versus the developers. You are directly working with Emaar, Merakil, Expo City Dubai, Ellington, Select Group, and others. And couldn't I just, now playing devil's advocate, go to those developers and say, listen, you probably take a markup whatsoever, I don't need you, Haus Haus, and I just go directly to them, do all my due diligence myself, and they might also do a proper job. Where do you step in there and say, listen, yes, you could, but actually those are additional services which we provide?
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. So what we can provide, so first, what I help my clients is to understand the market, and it's the overall picture. And we are not affiliated to any developer. So basically, I can sell you any development. If you go to the developer yourself, they will tell you everything great about that developer, obviously, because they're working for that developer. They will not tell you anything good about any other. So it's not a neutral opinion. And it is rather just, okay, they want to sell you the product. So can you really trust these people? If you did your due diligence, okay, you can go to Emaar, but they only have an 80-20 payment plan and you have no other options. So what we can offer is like a neutral opinion, and we guide you, okay, for your specific needs, what works the best and why. So this is the first step. Then the second step, if you're buying with the developer, they don't care about you after the sale. So then the business is done, and they don't help you to rent a property out, to get the best service, you like at the snagging, to help you, okay, this is what you wanted and this is what you're getting in that sense. They don't give you any guidance at all. And resale Haus Haus is one of the best in whole Dubai. So we can actually help you to get actually your cash back when you need it, or get a tenant in, or help you with Airbnb. So this is like the full experience we give you. The beauty as well is if you're buying off-plan properties, you are not paying anything for these services because it is paid by the developer. So basically, if you come for guidance to me and you want to make an investment, I give you like a good overview of the market. I give you all the resources that you need. And then we can go and look at different projects and find the perfect project for you. And then I'm guiding you towards the right direction. There is no cost for you as an investor, as a client, for that service, because the developer is basically paying Haus Haus for that. to sum it up, you basically get a neutral opinion, and I am like, I want to get you the best investment. Whereas the developer, they're just gonna try to push everything in their favor, which makes sense because they're working for that one development. That's kind of
that makes total sense, and thank you so much for clarifying. And also regarding the revenue model, basically you are implicitly acting as a lead source for the developers. They're happy to give you the markup for the service, but then obviously you dock on it on top and say, listen, let's do the entree, let's do the pre-qualification, the element of educating the people so that both parties are as happy as possible, facilitating the communication, and then we guide them through that, which is just not their expertise, and they focus on the development itself.
Exactly. And what I want to say as well, like I have a lot of Germans coming here, and then they're being like approached in Dubai Mall by, and I'm not going to name any developers, but they approached by developers, and then they are going to the sales centers, and these developers are selling like the project like they're the best in the market. They can say anything, right? And these are people that have no idea about the market. They just have been approached, and they're told, oh, you can make 50% rental yield and like all these things just to sell the property. And this is where people make a bad investment, unfortunately, because obviously that it doesn't matter how bad that developer is, they can make you believe it's the best developer if you don't have the knowledge. And it's taking advantage of people who don't know the market, because the people that actually live here, they know. And just because you're on the buildings, you have a lot of like posters and marketing throughout the city, it doesn't mean that your quality is good as a developer. And we know, we do the background checks, we know the track records of developers, and we also don't sell anything where we know the quality is really bad, because we actually care. We always acting for the customer because we can offer everything, and we know we're not going to offer something that is bad if we can offer something that is good quality. That being said, it's not always that the biggest developer is always the best. Sometimes the smaller ones that offer like European quality, and it's a smaller player, but they offer better payment plans or a lower budget investment, those are also good options. But how can you know? If you're coming here as a tourist, they stop you in the mall and they tell you this is the best developer. This is like from real experience, and I'm like, oh wow, you've been there. Can I ask why? Because the quality is not really good. And they were shocked because the developer sold themselves in the best way. And in the end, you can frame everything and you can focus on the numbers that work well, but hide all the negative things. So I think that's really key for everyone to get a big picture of Dubai and understand the developers rather than just buying random and believing what the salesperson at the developer says, because they want to sell.
Who do you think should not consider investing in Dubai in off market, flipping it around and saying, listen, yes, we can create like a customer profile or investor profile of someone who's definitely inclined and a good fit. But do you think there's like some red flags when you have a conversation with a potential investor talking with someone from Germany? Say, listen, let me do you a favor. Wait, let's talk in 6 months, in 12 months again. Chill, because you need to have maybe a different mindset. It's not necessarily the money. Who do you think is actually disqualified because they just they don't fit some certain criteria?
Yes, so I am going to tell a real life story as well. So basically, I had a client that was in touch with another German-based company here in Dubai, and they made the promises that they sold people properties that they were not able to afford with the pitch in a way, okay, you can sell it at 60%, so you only need the 60%, and afterwards we're going to buy it back if you don't like, if it hasn't appreciated as much what they wanted, or if you can't resell it. So basically they made people buy bigger tickets and property they were not able to afford. And then this person unfortunately bought, and when they were at the 60% and the next installment came, they could not afford paying the next installment, and they couldn't resell. It was not like it did not appreciate, because as I said, not every investment is good. You need to make a good investment. And these people, they just wanted to sell. So they didn't buy back the property, and that person was actually a Swiss person. They were not able to pay it, and they had to take a loan in Switzerland, and they managed somehow, but it put them in a very difficult situation where they thought at 60% they can resell it for a higher price because they got the capital appreciation, or if not, the company that sold it to them, they will buy it back. So I don't ever recommend anyone to buy a property if you're not able to pay at least the amount until handover. I think this should feel comfortable, and if you feel like, oh, you cannot pay the next installments, it's not a nice feeling, right? So if you don't have like the money to pay the property, let's say 50% construction, then I usually recommend wait a couple of years and then invest, because afterwards you can mortgage it. So it's okay. So you have to have the 50% to hand over. If you don't have the money till handover, then I usually don't recommend, because you're putting into a very vulnerable situation. And as I said, real estate should be always a long-term investment, and it will make money, but it should also feel comfortable. Also, if you have a very low budget, it also maybe makes sense to wait a little bit more. So I think 700,000 dirham, which I don't know how much dollars it is, but that's like the minimum I would say. If you want to invest, you can buy a studio in Dubai Land Residence Complex, fully furnished, for 700,000 dirham, for instance.
Yeah, that's 190,000, around like 200,000. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's like the minimum. If you don't have that, it's a bit tricky, and I would rather wait. But you're paying that in installments, right? So you're not paying that all at once. It's something that you pay throughout the next years. So you need to understand your money flow as well. And what I usually do with my investors, we're literally sitting down, and then there's, oh, in December I'm going to get this bonus and that one, and then we're seeing, okay, which payment plan can we do so it feels comfortable. And in the end, it's nice if you are mortgaging, for instance, at handover, but you get a Airbnb like a rental yield. It's good for you. Like, you're not paying everything by yourself. Yeah, I think that's red flag. Don't trust anyone who's trying to just sell and make wrong promises, because you never want to be in a situation where you cannot pay that next installment. Yeah.
At HalloCasa, we are right now launching the KYC feature, meaning we allow users to verify their identity with a passport and their selfie and stuff, to make sure that we have on the platform only good people and not bad apples. And we also allow users to put their registered broker license in order to just enhance the community. And we just talked during our call offline about the new regulation in Dubai, which is actually fascinating, regarding QR codes supposed to be tagged on each social media post, redirecting to your registered broker list. How does it work?
Yeah, so that's actually a topic I talk a lot with my investors, because they believe Dubai is not that safe. It definitely is, because DLD is managing everything, and they come up with more and more things for safety. And this code is just about that, because they want to avoid that there's people on social media and that they give advice and they're not registered brokers and they don't even know what you're talking about. So this code is actually a safe way of building more trust on these platforms that we're all using. You're using social media as well. It is so powerful. So Dubai found a way how to make actually this platform more reliable for investors, to know who you can trust, because everyone can create a video and say, oh, you should invest in this, but is it a good investment? You don't know if this person is qualified to actually even state around this topic. It's an amazing thing, especially for me, who's German. I love to have everything regulated. So if you see a video and there's no code on it, you cannot know for sure if it's a registered broker. But if you have the code, you can basically scan it and it will bring you to DLD. And it says, okay, this is a registered broker, and then you can trust that person. So it is, again, Dubai making property market safer and more secure and more transparent.
And when you talk talk code, we are talking about QR codes. So you basically need to include this into each social media post, and then we have a redirect which says Franciska is registered broker, compliant and authorized by the authorities to conduct this business. Is that the way I get it?
Exactly. It's pretty easy. It's a code. We put it there. It will lead you to a website, and that's it. And you are in safe hands. So obviously, aesthetically, people are joking around that it doesn't look so good. But in terms of transparency and investors knowing who to trust, it is bringing this whole thing to another level, which I think, as a German and someone that really cares about transparency and compliance, I think this is an amazing development from DLD that they're pushing here now. It just makes Dubai investments even safer now.
Absolutely. And especially in the age of AI, deep fakes, and any other new way of creating fake content, it is a confirmation for me that we are going exactly into the empowerment and also into a way of giving a lot of more power again to the high authority institutions, validating who the person is and that this person exists and is allowed to conduct certain businesses. So basically going back to the old offline authorities who we can use as a ground truth. You have a very strong business acumen and mindset, and we have been talking a lot about investment, finances, investing in real estate, and you are definitely a very strong businesswoman. However, you also have a spiritual angle. The unexpected teachers of happiness is one embodiment or an element of how you created your thoughts into something tangible, and you're sharing your life lessons in your young age, with the readers. What was the inception there? What made you write it, and what you also try to convey to the readers?
Yeah, it's a big contrast actually to my job in a way, and I love that. It's my balance to Dubai. Three years ago, I went to India and I completely fell in love. So I started to volunteer at a school, at a slum school I signed up for 3 weeks. And I completely fell in love and stayed for 3 months. I don't know, I don't even love children, but I went there, and since then I completely fell in love with children. It completely switched my perception of children and the world. It's literally, we're living in abundance here. We have everything we need and even more. We don't need all this glam and perfection. And I come there and everyone is happier and more satisfied with life than most people here. And I was like, how is that possible? How can someone that lives in a tent or doesn't have food all the time be kinder to me, share their little food with me, dance around and have a happier life? Since then, I always went back. Every 2 months I went back. That's the beauty of Dubai as well. We are in the middle of the world, so it's 3 hours from Delhi, which was really good for me. So even if it's for a long weekend, I went over. And yeah, so the book actually is lessons from the children's about happiness, because the kids, they have almost nothing, and they're kinder, nicer and happier than most people in the countries where they have so much. I wrote the book just for the reason that every purchase of the book will go directly to the school. So it is basically, if you are buying it on Amazon, it is connected to the school bank account, and the revenue will go fully to the school, and we will fund teacher salary, lunch, and like the basics there. It was my way of contributing to how they made my life happier. It's an NGO, so they don't have governmental support. They really struggle to pay teacher salary. And these kids are the happiest ever. Even like thinking about it, it really makes me so happy. And they're sharing more. Like I can give 1,000 examples. And in the books, there is actually a lot of examples and real life stories. But if you give something to them, like a cookie, or the first thing they do is share it with you. And I think if we think about this, like sharing is like a concept that we're all aware of, and we've been taught that we need to share as a child and with your smaller siblings, but we don't know what hunger means. If we're sharing because we have more anyway, like the question is, would we share if we have nothing or we don't know when we're gonna have food to eat? And most people, like really think about, most people, they only share if they get the same amount or if they're not hungry or something. And then I go to the school where the kids, they don't have lunch, they don't have breakfast. And I come there, want to give them a cookie. And the first thing is like 5 people giving me half of their cookie because they're so grateful that I'm there and giving them a cookie. So it changed a lot of my perspective. And I hope that this book makes people happier, and people create happiness by purchasing the book because all the revenue goes to the kids directly.
Franciska, thank you so much for your time today. And I'm really happy you shared all your insights regarding Dubai and also your life. We went deep on the hustle culture. That's where we started. You allowed us to understand the life in Dubai in the middle of the bus, but then also being able to also escape it a little bit. You gave us a very nice overview of the investment destination of Dubai and also why this is actually a very good destination overall. You, in the beginning, already mentioned a key point, which I think was very impressive. You have a very strong growth mindset, and you say, we are here in this world to build and to give back and to be part of the community and have a positive impact. You gave this in a very beginning, basically, and I felt this vibration during the conversation. You also explained us the neighborhoods of Dubai, the lifestyle from the expo area to Palm Jebel Ali. You gave us a very nice practical reason why Jumeirah Gardens is actually quite interesting, and also the element of maybe cognitive bias and overcoming fear to invest in something which isn't actually there yet. I really appreciate the elements of your ROI calculations and letting us understand how it works. Also, the entire element of down payment and going into the installments, and then also the overview of Haus and where you step in and your stakeholder management on both ends, the developers, but also then obviously the clients and your educational purpose there. In the end, you told us about the flipping property management, Airbnb, and the element of where should I go for a specific investment vehicle? Where does it make sense? Where does it make sense for Airbnb? Where does it make sense for flipping? So there also you conveying the difficulty to really understand the Dubai market, which is not so easy because it's so multifaceted. And lately, or in the end, you also shared with us your spirituality and your impact, what you're having, which you retrieved from your travels to India and playing and interacting with the children. Apart from all this, is there anything else you would like to share with the audience, which we haven't touched upon?
No, you did a very nice summary of everything. Nothing from my end, but thanks so much for having me. And I think you asked really valid and good questions that I get from clients as well. So I hope it was helpful to get a good insight into Dubai and all the possibilities that are lying here.
Perfect. How can people reach out to you?
LinkedIn, Instagram, or WhatsApp as well. Yeah, my name, Franciska Acs. That's actually the easiest to find me anywhere. Otherwise, on Haus Haus website as well, of course.
Perfect. I will put those into the show notes. And thank you so much. Sending the best regards. Enjoy your run on the beach. And we talk soon. Sending a big hug.
Perfect. Thank you, Michael.
Bye-bye. This video is brought to you by HalloCasa. Our tool transforms independent local real estate agents to global real estate agents. Create your own profile for free and get contacted by international investors. Sign up with the link in the description.